It's the B-Tatum Show. It's the B-Tatum. 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 It's the B-Tatum Show. It's the B-Tatum Show. It's the B-Tatum. It's the B-Tatum Show. It's the B-Tatum.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got to work on our intro. First of all, I'm going to kill Sean because he got the sentence wrong. But I love him anyway because he's trying. But anyway, so I got a show for you guys. I mean, we got a panel, two of my really good friends, great patriots in the movement. And we're going to put on a good show for y'all. So just stay tuned. Thank y'all for joining. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. And also make sure you show some love by hitting the like button. The like button will expand this live stream and make it better and bigger. Sorry that I'm not dressed up in a little YouTube garb, but I just came from a restaurant with one of my good friends. And that's why I'm late. I can't be on time to a live stream in my own house. It's something going on here. Y'all pray for me. Y'all better pray for me. So without further ado, me running my mouth too much, I'm going to bring in my brothers from different mothers. Jericho Green. What's up, Jericho?
Yeah, man. What's up, B-Tatum? Glad to be back, bro.
And my boy, Damani Felder. Glad to have y'all back.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, so fellas, and I'm just do a quick introduction. If y'all don't know who Jericho Green is, Jericho Green been on YouTube for a few years now, maybe somewhere around there. Real talk, I call Jericho Green the uncensored version of myself. Damani Felder go hard. If you've ever seen Damani Felder on his social media platforms, he's always making these comical I don't know, commercials that literally I die every time I see him. So these are two incredible patriots that I love so dearly. These are great guys, great men, examples. And we're going to get into a bunch of stuff today. So y'all in for a treat. Pass around the offering bucket because y'all, you know, we're going to take y'all to church. So let's start with this, man. One of the biggest stories that have come out, and it's been in the news. It has gone on for a while, but now it's resurfacing simply because Mr. Jello Pudding has gotten out of jail. Now, I want to know what you guys think about, you know, him getting out of jail. Should he have ever been in jail? You know, do we have a problem in our country with sexual assault allegations? Let me know. Damani, what you think?
Well, you know, I really think it comes down to the culture that we have largely let run unchecked. There's a lot of individuals who feel that the allegation alone is enough for preemptive condemnation. We saw a lot of individuals come out against Brett Kavanaugh with completely unsubstantiated claims of sexual assault. So as it relates to this case in particular, you know, I followed it to a certain degree. You know, I'm not sure if he should have been in prison or not. That's really not my wheelhouse per se. I do know that it does seem that there's a lot of actions going on right now that don't seem to sit right with a lot of individuals. I know him being released from prison is one, but just overall, it feels more performative to me. It feels like certain individuals are not being held accountable for their actions if these allegations are indeed true. So I'm not sure what precedent this really sets for the future if we have these individuals who are sent to prison for long periods of time and then magically they're back out on the streets because of a technicality or so on and so forth. So I'm not sure what it predicates for what's going to happen down the road.
Jericho, what's your thoughts, man?
Well, Bill Cosby himself admitted that he gave quaaludes to women that he wanted to have sex with. So should he have been in prison? Yes. If that were my sister or somebody I knew, somebody I cared about, and I found out that you slipped them some pills and had your way with them when they were unconscious, you would need some of them Jello pudding pops to put over your eye. But as far as him being out, hey man, that's the prosecutor's fault. You can't promise people things and then when it's convenient for you, pull the rug from under them and then charge them with criminal charges. So from a moral standpoint, no, people like that shouldn't be out on the streets. I don't give a damn who you are. I don't give a damn how many #1 TV shows you had or what you've done with your money. That's wrong. But shame on the prosecutor for telling him, we're not going to prosecute you if you admit it on tape. He admits it on tape, and then you say, now we're going to prosecute you. That's a no-no. So as far as them, they're at fault for allowing him back on the streets. I don't think it's his fault. Should he be in? Hell yeah. But should he be out? According to the law, yeah.
Yeah. See, that's a good thought process and conversation to have, because you got to think there's two things that go on in the criminal justice system that people may not be realizing. Guilt or innocence is at stake, and whether or not you can bring it to court through the judicial system in a legal manner is another argument. People think that O.J. Simpson did in fact commit a murder. However, through the criminal justice system and some of the faulty things that occurred with the attorneys and some of the investigators, he actually got off. But that doesn't mean he didn't do it. That just means technicalities within the court system got him to a place where he can get off. And I think that this speaks to a broader issue to a certain degree, is that people like to argue that our criminal justice system is racist and that the black man gets treated poorly. However, we can see examples of two black men, prominent black men, which I think is mostly where you get your influence from. If you're prominent, you got money, you're famous. There's a two-tier system. And if you don't have enough money to fight the wrongs that are done to you in the court of law, you're going to spend a lot of time in prison. And it doesn't matter if you're black. So do you guys think that this had anything to do with race, or do you think it had more to do with classism or financial gain, the reason why he got off, outside of the technicalities?
I believe if you have a certain amount of money, you're no longer playing by the rules that normal people play by. Your color is no longer a factor if your money is long enough. Not only OJ is a prime example of that. Tupac, he shot 2 off-duty police officers. He got off. You got that rapper, the Baby. He shot and killed somebody. He got off. So not saying that just their money does it, but your color isn't the only condemning factor here either. If you have the money, yeah, you're playing by different rules. You're in a different league. You don't have the same problems people have. You got, I'll just go by Jenner so I don't offend anybody, but he rear-ended some lady and killed her. So, I mean, come on, man, stop with that nonsense. If you got the bread, you're going to stay ahead. That's the bottom line.
Yep. And that's really drives home the point about green privilege. So many individuals want to act like there's so much that has to do with race or other immutable characteristics. When it comes down to it, really, it just is the difference between those who have access to certain, perhaps, legal counsel than other people. There's a real big difference between individuals who have lots of financial resources and those individuals who are at the mercy of the individual who's appointed to them to represent them in the court of law. So it really just drives from that point even further. I think it's less to do with skin color and more to do with just the access to resources.
Sound like a great point to me. I want to add this to it, because do we have a problem in our country of people, mostly women, and I'm just going to come straight out with it. Do we have a problem in our country of women falsifying these allegations? Because, the young lady, he denied his involvement with her the entire time. I mean, he never, admitted to that. He admitted to doing it in the past 40 years ago, 30 some years ago, but he always denied that. And I saw a similar pattern happen with R. Kelly, where you had R. Kelly literally doing things that he shouldn't have been doing with women that were underage, clearly, obviously on tape. But then you have people jumping in the boat, adult women who are making adult decisions, try to jump and cry wolf. We had, what's his name? He was Brett Kavanaugh. You have Brett Kavanaugh. Some people make some accusations against him. Now all these women jumping on board and claiming that he has done some sexual acts that was proven in many cases to be completely false, and other ones were not substantial. So based on y'all's experience, do you think we have a problem with women making false reports, or is it just a matter of the fear of women not wanting to come out, given the fact that they will be ridiculed if they come out against somebody that's a celebrity?
I definitely think that's an issue, because what comes with accusing somebody of that is irreparable. It's irreparable damage. So we need to treat them with the same intensity if they lie. I think that would solve a lot of this, because rightfully so, if you do that to a woman, the worst things humanly possible should happen to you. The longest prison sentence. I've been a long time advocate for outsourcing our prisoners for punishment. You know, we have too weak of stomachs in the Western world for this, so let's outsource them to countries that don't. But anyway, if a woman makes a false claim, she should face the same punishment that the man would have had he been found guilty. Now, as far as consenting adults, hey, if there's a man that has something that you want and you have something that he wants, and you guys make an exchange, that's your fault. I personally don't believe that his position of power means anything. You're an adult, you're a big kid, you made the decision. Now, he might be a slimy scumbag and he talks nasty and he's gross or whatever, and he used his position to get what he wants, but you also use your position to get what you want. So if you're a consenting adult and there's no drugging involved and you're both of sound mind and body, you just made a bad choice, move on. But yeah, I definitely think there's a problem. Going back to the Duke lacrosse team, even though they were found innocent, just the accusation, and it should be, because that's a horrible, horrible thing. You're taking advantage of somebody, or you're taking their sense of safety away from them, you're harming them. That's terrible. But so is a false accusation, and that needs to be treated with the same vigor and venom as those who would have done it for real. Like the penalty they face, I think it should be the same for those who accuse them falsely, because that's just disgusting.
Yeah, and really the real problem is the more times we find out there are false allegations that are levied against someone, the less credence it gives and the less press and airtime it really gives to those real instances of sexual misconduct that frequently go unreported in our mainstream media. But because of this sensationalism that we have in our media today, they are more apt to cover an individual if their story is more salacious or more politically damaging to their opposition. And the media can't be bothered to actually focus on the plethora of women who actually have credible allegations, but who feel marginalized, because when there is a false allegation, then what it always is going to do is it's going to cause individuals to look at any allegations a little more askance than they would if allegations were more on the up and up. So I think it's very unfortunate for all individuals involved, because what it does is it really downplays the severity of the issue. And again, the allegation itself is enough to really destroy an individual's life. And if that allegation is not true, then it's going to force individuals to look at it a little differently than they would if we did not have this problem that we have today. But such is the problem with, trying to get, I would argue individuals try to get their 15 seconds of fame, 15 minutes of fame, and they'll make allegations that are not substantiated to do so, but they don't really realize the damage they do to those real individuals who are struggling and who do want to come forward and actually make sure that they get justice for their travails as well.
Hey,
Yeah, man.
Tatum,
Yeah.
I wanted to speak on something you mentioned, how women could be afraid to come forward about what happened to them and bring their attacker to light. Fortunately, I've never had anything like that happen, so I can't speak to it from experience. But I do think that it's very unfair for a woman who's a victim of a crime like that to bear that burden herself, to have those memories and those feelings and deal with that on her own. That's not fair. The person who did that to you, they need to share some of that pain too. They need to share some of that burden too. So as hard as it is to come forward, whether if no one's going to believe me or if they fear for their safety, like I said, I can't speak to it from experience, but as a spectator, I would hope that the woman would be able to, like I said, share that pain with them. It's unfortunate that they got to bear that and live with that for years. That's not right. Whoever did that to you, they need to pay too. And unfortunately, your silence allows them to get away with it. But in the Cosby case, yes, he's famous, but I don't think there was any chance of him like actually physically coming back to hurt them because they said something. So hey, if they do that to you, hey, burn it down. Let them have it.
Yeah, I think I'm in agreement with both of you guys, because I think it's incredibly, I wish that we would hold people accountable that lie. When I was a police officer, like 99% of the cases that I took, or people who complained about sexual assault or rape, were completely false, either completely unfounded with no evidence, or they lied. And that's a troubling number. And there's a lot of young women who get taken advantage of that never tell anything because they're afraid they won't be believed, because all the ones out here lying. When I was in college, I had a guy that played on my team, Jonathan Turner. He's a star. He's about to go to the NFL. Now, he's an idiot for messing with this girl, and he had a girlfriend, but he messed with a girl that was friends. We were all friends. Everybody was cool. And one day she just decided to say, oh, he, raped me. And he lost everything. His chance of going to the NFL. He got kicked out of school indefinitely. He was on the front page of the university newspaper. And then after like a year or two of the trial, when the trial was over, he was found not guilty. People on her team actually testified against her and testified against her character. She had, I don't mean to be graphic, but she had DNA of a few dudes that in that same night. And everybody knew she was, she should get around. She should get around like a bus running through town. You know what I'm saying? So everybody knew that about her. That doesn't excuse a person's behavior. However, she was wrong. And when he was innocent, he didn't get none of that stuff back. And they put that he was innocent on the bottom back portion of the newspaper. And that is, to me, that is troubling. And I'll add this other point, is that I really encourage women or men, most of it is women, or men, that if these things happen to you, you not only owe it to yourself, but you owe it to other people who can be victims of this predator, for you to come out and say something. Because if you wait 20 years later, how many more people have this person done that to? How many more victims of this person going to have if you don't come out and say something? Let me grab a couple of these super chats real quick. Let's see. My brother, Keith. Good evening, Mr. Tatum. Love what you do. I've been following you. Been following your rise. You keep it 100, and definitely more people in the community need to listen to your preaching. Have a great evening. 100%, man. We're gonna get to that point in a second. Matter of fact, we could jump on it now. Let's talk about, the concept of messaging. I've heard this from woke Black conservatives more so than anybody else, is messaging. And my quick perspective of messaging is that the Black community, America as a whole, we're not a monolith. We don't receive information the same. We don't hear information the same. We're not going to change with the same type of ideals. So everybody have their own ideals. They have their own messaging. They have their own testimony. And I think that everybody has a voice. There is no need to censor or say one person has a better voice than the other, or one person is negating the totality of voices because they think differently than me. What do you guys think about this idea of mostly Black conservatives coming out and saying, most of us that are right here are not speaking for the Black community?
I think it's a misnomer on its face. Sorry, did you want to go, Jericho?
No, go ahead, man. Go ahead.
I think it's a misnomer on its face. There will never be an individual that speaks for the Black community, because the Black community, as you said before, is not monolithic. So you can turn that argument really back on them. There are going to be different individuals who are able to disseminate different information in different ways, and that's a good thing. The problem comes when we look to have almost a type of designated spokesperson, where, I look to this person of color and they're going to speak for me. And no one can speak for you in America, because we all do not have the same experience. There's so many individuals I hear the phrase Black experience all the time. And I always wonder, what is that? Because the experience of a Black individual who grows up in a wealthy neighborhood and has two very wealthy parents is going to be markedly different than the experience of a Black person who grows up in Chicago or St. Louis in the inner city. So when you have people who are so wrapped up in, this person speaks for me or whatever, what they're really saying is this person validates my preconceived notions. That's really what it comes down to. They're looking for an individual who is going to say what they think and what they feel, and they're going to supplant their own ideology with that individual's, because they have chosen that person to be their spokesperson. That's not the way that people should think or act or really think about the world around them.
Yeah, man, great point. I think that we and people like us, we speak for the community, not the Black community or any other, the community as a whole, American people. I remember as a kid, my parents would be watching TV and they would see Jesse Jackson come on there, or Al Sharpton, and they were always pissed because these guys are pushed to the forefront as our leaders and somehow these unofficial representatives for Black people. One thing that makes America so great is our ability to be individuals. We're not all in lockstep with each other for the most part, and that would be pretty boring. And we all have different experiences, but I don't want the responsibility to speak for the Black community. What are you talking about? You speak for yourself. What other group needs to have someone speak for them or uplift them or empower them? No, I got people, I got a family I need to empower and uplift. I don't got time to uplift the whole damn community. All right. That's not my responsibility. We're all different. And like you said, Damani, the Black experience, what the hell is that? What does that mean? You mean a ghetto experience? Because I've been in some Mexican ghettos, I've been in some white ghettos, I've been in some Black ghettos. So if it's a ghetto experience, that's something that any group can take part in. But a Black experience, I don't know what that is. I've never had it. I'm still having the American experience, which is great. I don't want any other experience. I'm glad I landed here. But as far as speaking for the Black community, that's not my responsibility. You speak for yourself.
100%. It's about personal responsibility, looking in the mirror. You know, the thing that I think that we all excel on is that we speak from our own experiences and we are ourselves. You know, like I have a different testimony and I speak for myself, and people that identify with the way I speak, with the testimony that I have, they tend to follow me. That's just what it is, no matter what color you are. And let me grab a couple of super chats real quick. Let's see. Pink Potato, which whatever their name is. Where's ABL? I don't know. ABL couldn't make it. I'm not sure. We tried to communicate with him, but he couldn't make it for whatever reason. I'm sure it's a pretty good reason. Maybe he's taking his wife out on a beautiful date or something like that. But ABL should be back next time. Officer Tatum, you give me hope on the Black community. I guess it was in the Black community. I give up with the liberals. Then I hear you. Give me hope. Thank you for your voice. I appreciate it. Joe Biden disagree. He says you're monolithic. Randy, thank you for the $50 super chat. Let's see. Is he Jericho Green who running for office? You running for office, Jericho?
Oh, no, man. Not right now, but hey, you never know what the future holds.
Jericho, what's up? American. George said, look at you. Brothers over to America, accountability for oneself. Damani Felder and Jericho Green, never heard of you, but you made a fan out of me today. That's why it's good. I like to bring people on here to give a different perspective, because if I go on to Damani's platform, so people never heard of me and Jericho, so we can all get this thing done together. But I think that the biggest takeaway in this scenario that we're talking about is being your authentic self, whatever that is, whatever experience it is. There's no such thing as not being Black enough, or, you know, not being Hispanic enough, or not being white enough. It's like, you know, there's a lot of Black people that don't live in the hood. I mean, most Black people are not poor. You know, I would argue that most Black people probably live in the middle to lower class, and they're not poor in poverty, you know, smoking crack every day. So if you are in that, that's good. Be the messenger for that. I mean, you don't have to be, but you may empower people because they can identify with you. Or some people may want to be empowered because you've made it out of that place. You know, I never want to hear a broke person telling me how to make money. You know, I never want to hear a poor person, or like a poor in spirit, meaning a broken person tell me how to be whole. You know what I'm saying? So maybe if you come from that area, maybe it'll work. Maybe it won't work, because people want to see something different. So I'm going to get to this bathroom thing and this push of the LGBTQ community. And I want to hear your thoughts on it. There was a bathroom. I mean, there was a spa situation. And I think it's called We Spa somewhere in California. And they've had a few complaints of this. They had a man that identifies as a woman go into the female bathroom or female spa experience. I'm assuming that it's more than just the bathroom. It's like, you know, the sauna and the massages or whatever they get in the spa. And the dude got his stuff hanging out. And it was such a bad experience that women, all kinds of women, left the spa, complained, and wanted their money back. So what do you guys think about a person, or our government, or private businesses allowing a person with no real restrictions to say that they identify with something and then go into the opposite sex bathroom, claiming something that's not necessarily 100% verifiable?
I mean, it's a pervert's dream. All you have to do is say that you identify and you get access to the room full of the people you like to look at. I don't know, do things to. Like, what do you? I've said this before. Where were you? Where was this dude going to the spa before this nonsense? Like all these people, we can go in the bathroom, they can go here. Where were you going before this nonsense was pushed to the forefront? Wherever that was, go back to there, because there's a reason that there's different symbols on the outside of the bathroom and the locker room. It's a space for those people. It's a space for them to be around people like them, to undress, a very intimate situation. You're nude around other people. And it's strange enough as a man being nude around another man. Because I don't know about you guys, but I got a very strict one particular setup limit in my home. So I'm not around naked dudes usually. So it's strange enough as a man being around other men. I can only imagine how it is for women being around a nude man that's not your husband or something like that. That's weird, it's uncomfortable, and that's not where these women should be dealing with that. If they want to go to a we support transgender spa and you're going to have some dudes in there with you and they know this going in, fine. But that was not told to these women. It was sprung on them, kind of the bait and switch. This is a woman's locker room, but hey, there's a dude in here. No, that's disgusting. It's unnecessary. Take that somewhere else. And just because you feel that way doesn't mean we all have to partake in your insanity. You know what I mean? That's your issue. And because I don't deal with it, I don't want to deal with it, does not make me some kind of phobe or some kind of ist because I don't agree with what you're doing. What you're doing is strange. That's why we're talking about it right now. That's why it went viral, because it's weird and it's uncomfortable and it's unusual. And everything doesn't have to be okay. Everybody doesn't belong everywhere. Everything does not have to be okay. That's just the way it is. It's how we operate in the world of adults. That's a very childlike way of seeing things, throwing a tantrum, and because you don't give into it, there's something wrong with you. No. Notice how everybody else in that locker room had the same setup. There's something wrong with you. And of course it would be in California. And of course the people there in charge who work there didn't have a problem with it. And they, well, he's transgender. I don't care. What if my daughter was in there with my wife? I don't care. My kids should not be seeing stuff like that, nor should a woman if she's in the woman's locker room. And one time when I was at a club, back before I settled down when I was a wild buck, there was a time where a drunk woman wandered into the men's bathroom. I like women, but that wasn't the place for that. And it felt weird. Dudes would turn around like, what are you doing in here? Out there is the place for you to be, not in here. That stuff is gross, man.
Yeah, invariably, that's going to happen more and more for people to really get it, because there's this, social justice and tolerance movement that really has metastasized out of control, where a lot of individuals will say what they believe society wants to hear from them, but it doesn't really become real to them until they have to actually experience the consequences of those decisions. So yes, it is unnatural. Yes, it is. It's not normal behavior. It's okay to restore some degree of traditionalism. I know that seems like a dirty word to some people, but guess what? When you go to the restroom, men go to one, women go to the other. But because of this world and the cancel culture that we have to go through, any individual who says anything that actually makes good sense these days gets canceled. So what happens? Invariably, these situations are going to continue happening. And it's not until those people, even the people who promote this mentality, have to actually experience how odd and how weird and ultimately degrading and self-defeating this whole movement really has become. Only then maybe possibly see a shift back to normality. But really, we are catering to a minuscule percentage of the population when we're talking about individuals who are transgender. And it's a shame that we have individuals who now feel emboldened, being that minority that they are, to more or less inflict their ideology, even just in a casual way. It's very unfortunate, because now you're seeing younger people now who are starting to see very unusual behaviors become normalized. So the real issue is what's going to happen down the road, one generation or two generations, when you have young individuals who see nothing wrong with it because of the way they've been taught to believe, because of what they've been taught to say, and because they've been told to reject, the truth for a more comforting lie.
There's I think a common thread through this, with this trend, the push with the alphabet soup group and all that. The people that make these policies don't live with the consequences of them. When it comes to immigration, the open borders, they don't care. The only way they deal with their illegals is their gardener, their maid. They don't care. Why wouldn't I want more of them? They're nice. They don't live with the consequences of their policies. Just imagine you are somewhere and a man comes into the woman's locker room. If that really happened, like we see it on TV, we see people talking about it, but for it to really happen, that's a trip. That's something that you might not be prepared to deal with, and you shouldn't have to. But I think a common thread through these things is they're up there in their ivory towers making these policies, but they don't have to live with them. That's why we look at these policies like, who the hell would think this? Somebody who doesn't have to deal with it. That's who.
Yeah, I mean, y'all make some incredible points, man, because it's just very interesting that they do force other people. I mean, at the expense of violating everybody else's constitutional rights, and in many cases violating their own privacy for the feelings and emotions of one protected class of a person. I mean, I think that it's very reasonable if a person who's trans, that's clearly not passable, they could do clearly like a man, is going somewhere and exposing himself to other people, and the people in the spa, the majority of them feel uncomfortable, and it should be reasonable that a staff member or manager can assess the situation and say, look, man, you need to figure this out, because you are running our customers away because you doing this the wrong way. So find out what you need to do to make this right. If you come in here, you can't expose yourself. Maybe you have to wear some clothes when you're in this particular section if you want to be fair. And the part about this that really bothers me, man, is like, I don't think this is the majority of transgender people or anything like that. I think the majority of people are trying to figure their own stuff out, living their own life. But these ones that go and force their ideology on other people, I think that they have a lot of resentment. And they're doing this for attention, and they're doing this for a reason. If you know that you're going to destroy women in track and field, you are. It's not rocket science. You've been running track and field when you was a man. You turn into a woman. You know what times you were running as a man. You're going to drown these women. For a person to go out and do that in spite of knowing that, that's evil intent. For a man to know he don't look nothing like a girl, to go in the spa and just put his business out there, that person to me has malicious intent. Because if you really cared about the way people treat you, you should care about the way other people feel, and you should be, very sensitive and impartial when you're making these decisions about exposing yourself or coming out the closet to other people. I think that these people are coming across very evil.
Yeah, and I think very selfish too. And they don't all look like lady boys. We've seen shows and stuff where, like, man, that would have fooled me. No, they don't all look like that. They look like a dude who put some rouge on and some earrings and came in and dropped his pants. We're not prepared to deal with that. That's crazy. It's not like, oh, that's a girl. Oh, dang, I didn't even know. I didn't even see her, your twigs and berries. But come on, man, a lot of these fools don't even try hard. And like you said, B. Tatum, I don't think, like most of these groups, they try to push these things on. They don't agree with that nonsense. They don't want to force their beliefs on people like that, because when you force your beliefs on someone, it's not like they're going to go, oh, I get it, I accept you. No, you're going to make it worse. And it's going to be fake acceptance. So, no, I don't think most of them agree with this crap either.
And you're going to make, before you jump into money, you're going to make people hate you. Like, I think people feel very impartial about gay, lesbian, LGBTQ and stuff, and nobody cares. Most people in America are just trying to go to work, go home. They worry about their family and retirement and all of the things that you got to worry about as a person just trying to survive in this country. They're not worried about who's sleeping with who and who look like what on their off time. In my whole life, I've probably seen 5 people that were transgender in my entire life, and I have to say, none of them look like women. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't know if I saw a transgender man, which is a woman turning into a man. I've seen all the ones turning over, and none of them can fool you. Like, it was one I was in this wing place. Dude comes in 6'6". It had to be 6'5". Dude had legs like Lance Armstrong, and had a back like, a MMA fighter. and the dude had a chin, big old strong chin, and it's like, bro, you know you ain't passing no test, bro. You're shredded in a mini skirt. You're not gonna wear jeans and try to be presentable as a reasonable woman. You're dressed like a hooker. Why is it that these individuals go to the extreme? You can't dress like a normal person. You got to wear a mini skirt with thunder thighs, bruh. You know nobody. You looked in the mirror and you know nobody's looking at you thinking, dang, she's sexy. Bro, you huge. Big old hands. Big old feet. You know, I don't understand why people do that. However, at the end of the day, we live in America. You do whatever you want to do. Just don't force it on me. Let me jump into this, Damani, and I want you to talk about this because I've seen some of your videos about this, and I know that you're passionate, just like everybody else, about them pushing this to children is the thing. I'm an adult, I can handle it. I can just turn the TV off. I can go this way. I can make commentary if I want to. But when you see things like LGBT, sorry about that. When you see things like the LGBTQ, thank you, on like cereal. You know, they have the little Fruit Loops or somehow they look LGBT Pride Month. I mean, they're going too far.
Yeah, no, they are. And what's really eye-opening about that mentality, and we're really seeing that culture shift towards that overt messaging to anyone and everyone, is the fact that, let's just be honest, you know, the lifestyle is not self-perpetuating. So invariably, if you do not train up another generation to take on that mantle, you're not popping out any new generations yourselves naturally. So that's why it seems that there's been this push really to go to younger and younger individuals. I mean, the thing is, I don't care if you're 5 years old or 6 years old, or whatever, but the last thing that you need at that age is some sort of exposure to, honestly, deviancy. There was an article that actually went somewhat viral. It said it was talking about kink at the Pride festivals. Yes, it needs to be there. Yes, I want my kids to see it, was the gist of the article. I'm sitting there reading this like, you're telling me that you want a 5-year-old to sit there and watch grown adults, consenting or not, grown adults engage in this very odd, peculiar behavior, and you want to normalize that to them? It's because you're going for the minds of the most impressionable, which is what I find extremely insidious. Because when you are a young person, you're not able to really understand the world around you maturely. Therefore, that which you are typically very much exposed to is that which you will take on as your normal outlook on the world. And that's why this messaging is very intentional. I've seen it in Blue's Clues even. Blue's Clues, they had a parade and they had a drag queen and a little cartoon character singing about the LGBT community. And the bottom line really is that young people do not need to have this lifestyle foisted on them. That's a lifestyle they choose down the road. That's fine with me. But when you have someone going out of their way over and over again to try to normalize and really infiltrate every part of our culture and our society with this nonsense, it really indicates what their true intentions is, which really is just trying to get to the youngest people as soon as they possibly can.
Yeah, let me jump in here real quick and get a couple super chats. First of all, I want to say a shout out because this person is very important to the movement. This person is very important to me. The most brilliant man alive, especially in the Black community, Thomas Sowell. So I think, we give a happy birthday to Thomas Sowell. I think it was his 91st birthday today. The guy is a tremendous man. I listen to him all the time. I mean, if you listen to Thomas Sowell, you inevitably going to be smarter at the end of the day. Let me get a couple super chats in here. Pamela, 3 super good looking guys on the Tatum tube. Woohoo! Just saying, I appreciate your brains too. Okay, all right. Man, your husband been watching you say that. No, I'm just playing. Jim Crow Biden. Well, y'all 3 didn't vote for me, so y'all ain't black. Somebody got a channel called Jim Crow Biden. But seriously though, shout out to all of you guys. I respect y'all 100%. You guys doing a lot of positive things in the Black conservative movement and also keeping it real. Let's see, Mr. Steak. I want to go to the door marked private. I would be in jail or prison, Mr. Tatum, having human trash in the restroom with my grandkids. I agree with you. Let's see, Pamela. Nah. I can't read all that. It's too much. Let's see. Show some love, DJ. I appreciate it. Thank y'all. I appreciate it. And thank you, Chuck, for joining the Tatum Squad. We're going to get back to this conversation. Now, Nas X. And then we're going to get off of this stuff. But let me tell you what. When I saw the BET Awards, and I didn't watch it because I will never watch propaganda TV. But I saw the little highlights, and initially I was incredibly upset and incensed when I saw BET, Black Entertainment Television, promoting sexualization of men on television, with a man literally making out with another man on a thing. And it's not even just the man to man, it's the fact that children are supposed to be watching this. And Black people used to really care about their image and being professional in the BET Awards, and now they all freaky. However, I realized that his performance wasn't the worst performance. The baby had women shaking it, dropping it, putting their legs over their head. He's doing, insinuating sexual interaction with these women on stage. I cannot believe that in our society today that that's acceptable, especially not on BET in the Black community. So what do you guys think about that, Nas X, and then some of the other performances on BET Awards?
Man, I'm glad I didn't watch that on a full stomach. That was disgusting. That was a smorgasbord of just debauchery. Look, man, if you want to have it on BET after dark, like they used to have, or uncut or whatever, late night after the kids go to bed, but you know damn good and well kids are up that hour watching that. And it is gross. And I don't care if it was a woman up there kissing another man after a performance like that. That was just too much. That was not the play. I wasn't expecting that. I was here to watch some performances, not watch people, 2 steps away from having sex. And I would challenge you on the worst performance. I think Cardi B coming out there with some cutout with her pregnant stomach out there. Man, when you become a parent, you're just held to a different standard. You have to conduct yourself differently. And to announce your pregnancy in a place like that, performing, saying those words, but at the same time, you're supposed to be all happy, showing people that you're nurturing life. That was oil and water. Those 2 things shouldn't have been happening in the same place at the same time. And I'm going to keep it extremely real. Growing up in a Black family, homosexuality is not exactly accepted. Now, is that right? I don't think so. I think if somebody comes to you, especially your child or something, with something like that, in the moment, you need to be supportive and love them. We'll deal with how we feel later. But in this moment, we need to be supportive. But in the Black community, that is not accepted. Whether right or wrong, I'm not sure how we went from that to on Black entertainment television, man, that was over the top. I felt like that should have had an NC-17 warning before it came on TV, but it speaks to a larger problem. It speaks to this kind of stuff, like Damani was saying, being normalized. Borders, language, and culture. This guy named Michael Savage always says that. And those are the things they attack first. And like we were talking about before, going after the kids, those are the soft targets. Those are the easy ones. They're still in a position of learning and acceptance, not in a position of challenge like you are when you get older. You got some life experience. You're not falling for the banana in the tailpipe anymore. But as kids, they're looking up to us, accepting what we're giving them. So they're easy to mold and shape into these little army of perverts that they want them to be. But this is another phase of it. It's entertainment. It's an award show. Well, there wasn't too many awards. It was just a lot of people simulating sex acts on stage, and it was disgusting. And again, that's just another way that they're going after the kids. We're lost causes. We've already hardened our minds. We're into what we're into, and we're not easily swayed. But the kids, yeah, throw some colors on it. Some hey kids, look at this drag queen. What's wrong with a drag queen? It's just love. Rainbows, red is for blah blah blah. So under the guise of that nonsense, they sell that to the kids. You don't see them pulling out with no F-150 commercial. You don't see no drag queen in an F-150. Hey, guys, you want to haul some rocks? No, we're not falling for that nonsense. But the kids, yeah. And if you get that message plus kids plus parents sleep at the wheel, not being involved in the kid's life and knowing what they're watching, you have a recipe for an army of dummies for them to mold and shape and vote the way that they want to. Because really, at the end of the day, it's all about the power.
So I want to jump in here real quick and show this little video of Cardi B. Maybe I'll call her Retardy B. Let me see if I can pull her up on the screen, and we're just gonna watch a little bit. I haven't seen it, so I'm interested in seeing. Let's see what screen is gonna come up. I'm interested in seeing what this looks like.
Oh man.
People were saying she was twerking. I just want to get a quick glimpse. I'm not going to listen to the words. Y'all can probably see it up on the screen. I mean, let me see if it get worse. But this stuff right here, to me, I don't understand how I don't understand how this is acceptable. And then when I say something like this, the money say something like this, Jericho say something about this. It's supposed to be, we hate the black community. We want, like, this is not good. I heard she was twerking. Did she twerk at some point?
We've seen her twerk enough.
Okay.
Oh, come on, dog. What?
I mean, she's pregnant though. Like she's announcing her pregnancy. She's coming out on stage and doing all these shenanigans. You know what I'm saying? Somebody said she was twerking. It's probably somewhere in this video. But I mean, God dang, like, where have we come as a community? And I keep saying the black community because we the ones crying the most about injustice, and we get labeled the wrong way. And hold on, before we jump into that, I want to play the baby too, because I think people have seen the other idiot kiss that dude, but I want you to see the baby, man. Like, y'all got to see the baby come on his concert, man, because this is crazy. And the first thing I noticed is that this chain on his neck. He got a multi-million-dollar chain, and he could have borrowed it, or he spent all of his money on a chain. And that's not a good example for young people when you talk about investing and net worth. And they blow all their money on fashion, and they don't have nothing to show for it. So homeboy get up here, and I'm gonna show y'all. He jumped on the stage, and the women doing this.
Oh, there you go.
Our sisters are doing it.
Respect me, uplift me, empower me. People
are sexualizing black men and women. They're sexualizing black people. The men and women. This is BET. This is black entertainment television. They putting our sisters out here like this with her legs popped up over her head.
Bro, they call this culture's biggest night. That's what they call it. The culture's biggest night. This is our culture. There it is, right there.
But when you have those actions that really are normalized and glorified to an extent, and then you wonder why we struggle with certain issues that are supposedly endemic in the black community now, like the idea of being ratchet, the idea of being a baby mama. These are all ideas that are planted from a young age because of normalizing that degenerate behavior. I don't care if you're black or if you're white. If you're on the stage acting like that, I'm going to have a problem with it, as anybody really should if they're honest with themselves. But this is all just about pushing an agenda. It's an agenda of degeneracy, hedonism, self-gratification. And when you have people who internalize that, like young people, because these are, unfortunately, these are the people that young people look to. When a young person sees this behavior on their TV at home or on their cell phone, they're going to want to replicate that behavior. That's why you see so much even on forums like TikTok, very young individuals, 13, 14, 15 years old, who, are shaking all over the camera just to get a couple 100,000 views or whatever, because that is what they have been told is their only metric of self-worth, is how many other people can I get to affirm me in this degenerate self-debasing behavior. So the more I see it, the bigger problem I have with it, because it's becoming a problem that too many people are just glorifying or turning a blind eye to, and then wondering why so many individuals, unfortunately, in the black culture have this as the idea of what it means to make it. If you made it, this is what your life will look like. And life is so much more beautiful than this. There's nothing beautiful about it whatsoever. It's not entertainment at this point. It's just an agenda push that's being thinly veiled as an entertainment award show.
Yeah, I mean, you can see that girl's birth canal, man. That's disgusting. And this isn't new. I grew up in the 90s with Rap Too Short and all that. This isn't new, but we had things in our home, in our life, combating this. Like, rap music was not acceptable in my home. I knew it was wrong, and I knew I wasn't supposed to do it, and I knew in the house that was wrong, and I knew this wasn't real, and I knew this wasn't right. So even though you may see images like this, if you have someone in your life combating this with truth, knowing that these are entertainers and this isn't right, this is not how it's supposed to be, I don't think it's as effective. But when this is supported and encouraged and nurtured in your home environment, that's how you create dudes like this. And how B. Tatum was talking about the chain around his neck, that's that feminine energy. You know, the way you look, fashion, that's a feminine thing, you know, makeup and labels and all this stuff. But that's all these dudes are about because they're submerged in estrogen. You know, that broken family. They don't have that father there to say, boy, what are you doing with your hair? Don't be doing that. Pull your pants up. Not like a mom doesn't have that ability, but that falls in a man's job. And when you take the man out of the house and you break down the family, this is accepted. This is okay. Girls, I mean, she couldn't have spread her legs any wider. And this is supposed to be an award show. This is a performance. This is a porno. That's what this is. And this can't be accepted. But like I said, you know, they're hashtagging it culture's biggest night. This is our culture. This is what the world thinks we're all about. Everybody that looks like me and you, we're all about this. All the women, they're all about this. And here we are screaming, no, it's not. This isn't how it's supposed to be. This isn't how it should be. But this is what we keep showing people. This is what we keep showing them that we're about. And we can't blame them for believing it after a while.
Yeah.
You know, I want to make a point real quick too about that. Like, that's this reason that we saw that viral video, I think it was a week or two ago, of the ambulance that was actually tending to individuals who were shot at that Juneteenth event. I forget exactly where it was, but there were a bunch of Black women who were twerking on the side of the ambulance as they're trying to render aid to someone else. This is where it starts, right here. That is why they felt that was appropriate behavior. And it really is crying shame.
And I'm just saying, and everybody can watch this, and it's not about beating up the Black community, but I think the Black community, if you want to isolate a particular culture, has a lot of beauty and brilliance to it, and a lot of very talented people that are creative, that can do some incredible things. Yet we keep falling for this. We keep doing stuff like this. We keep celebrating this. And we just go deeper and deeper down the rabbit hole, and nobody wants to identify. And if you say, this is wrong, this is not right, the first excuse people make is that, well, white people kiss people. It's like, well, how about you try to be better than white people? Why do every time you say something about Black people, they go, well, white people are doing it. Well, white people are going up in schools and doing stuff they're not supposed to do. Well, white people are poor too. White people are on food stamps too. White people have divorce too. There's white on white violence. It's like, well, time out. Why don't you want to be more excellent? Well, the Asian people are not saying, well, white people are doing it. White people are you know, not succeeding in education. We shouldn't. We got an excuse. No, you need to be better. You need to try to strive to be a better person and have a better visualization of culture, because this is unacceptable. And I hate to say it, but you don't see this at the Country Music Awards like this. Nope. You don't see this at you know any other place but in the community. And we wonder why our young women are having children out of wedlock at 70, 80%. You wonder why our young men looking at this like a stop and go. This is a drive-through. Bro, you don't even go inside. This is a drive-through. You hit this, you get it, and you gone. And he raps about this stuff. And then this young woman in 10 years from now is gonna want to be married, and she's gonna want to have a life. But she didn't want out here and mess with these doggy dudes like this. He's going to want to be married. I mean, not have a wife, but have a husband. He's going to want to be married one day. His kids are going to grow up. And he don't want them to act like this. But they're selling it to our kids, man. And it's something that, you know, should be addressed. Unfortunately, the people that address it are considered to be lunatics. Now, I want to jump to another subject because I want people to get a kind of a diverse perspective of kind of what we're talking about, and a little bit of politics, a little bit of that, a little bit of culture stuff. But also, I want you guys to share, you know, how you guys became conservative. Were you always conservative? Was it something that happened during the Trump era? Like, I just want to hear y'all's background, because some people may not know where you came from. You were with me, people that don't know me, or you know me or whatever. I wasn't always a conservative. I voted for Barack Obama. I consider myself a Democrat before 2016. And in 2016 on, I've been more and more conscious of being a conservative, or what conservatism mean. And so I wasn't always like this, man. I don't know about y'all. I mean, Damani, you know, were you always a conservative?
Well, I was raised in a conservative household, so I would say I was more or less a rhino, a very young rhino. So I knew what the right things to say were. I knew what I was exposed to growing up, but I really had to be tested when I went off to college. And when I was in college, like between my sophomore and junior year, that was really when the Trayvon Martin, George Zimmerman situation really came to the fore. And that really was kind of more or less the birth of Black Lives Matter. And at that point in time, I begun to realize how really advantageous it was becoming to take that victimhood poison pill. And I made a post about it on Facebook after George Zimmerman was found not guilty, saying that life was so difficult for a Black person in America. Why are things so hard? More or less, essentially, it's just trying to solicit pity from individuals, because why else would you post something like that on social media? And I was lucky enough to have some friends there at Texas A&M University who actually were willing to try to approach me with different information. And when I got that information, I realized, I had been misled. And not only had I been misled, I let the whole world know I've been misled. And at that point, it became personal. So at that point, I just determined to do a better job actually fact checking, really understanding what I truly believe. And the more I uncovered, the more I really started to rely on facts more than my intrinsic feelings. That's what really led me to conservatism and to begin seeking out the way I have.
Good.
Fortunately, like Damani, I was raised in a conservative home. I just didn't know it was called conservative at the time. My parents, my dad grew up poor, so he was a self-made man. My mom, she joined the Army. They both joined the Army, so they were both very young, out in the world doing their own thing, very independent. So my parents' thing they always drilled into my head was, however far you get in life, that's up to you. Good or bad, that's on you. Don't be dependent on nobody else. My mom would always tell me, I'm going to make sure you know how to cook and clean and take care of yourself, so you don't have to depend on no woman. So you don't have to depend on anybody. It was just you're responsible for your own existence kind of mentality, and victimhood or blaming somebody else for what you did, it just wasn't going to happen. You did it. That's your fault. Again, good or bad. If you do something good and you're successful, you take all the accolades for that. And if you do something bad and you get in trouble, hey, you just got to man up and take the consequences for what you did. And I'm glad that it's always been this way. I'm glad that I never had to have that red pill moment. And I'm glad and thankful for people who did. But my parents, they just didn't allow it to be any other way. And as I got into my 20s, I worked in radio. So, entertainment, California. I was surrounded by these crazy, purple-haired dummies saying the most just unrealistic nonsense you've ever heard in your life. And sometimes I would ask them, are you serious? Like, you really believe that? And, it comes from, again, how they were raised and what they've been told their whole life. And it was just hard for me to believe that a fully functioning adult could believe this crap, but they're out there. But fortunately, from the jump, it was like this for me. So shout out to my folks for that.
Yeah, I think that's interesting, man. And I personally want to create or start the generation of conservatism for my family. And even though my oldest son, his mom and I see it very differently. I mean, she's a leftist, in my opinion, and I'm more on the conservative side. It's good because my son get a chance to get the best of both worlds, and he can make his own decision. He see how things go with his mom and what her perspective is. He get to see my perspective, and when he's grown, he'll be able to vote and he'll be able to make his own determination. But I think it's incredibly invaluable. And I'm thankful to God that I know this now, so I can create the next generation of conservative kids, or at least get them exposed to it. Because when I was growing up, nobody said nothing about voting. Nobody said nothing about credit. Nobody said anything about, really political stuff. It was just, it goes without saying you were a Democrat. And it took, I think I took a lot of pitfalls before I realized that the life of a conservative is way better. When you view the world from the conservative lens, you see the world and you can be happier and free. I mean, this world is not rampant with racism and systemic oppression and all this stuff that just keep you weighed down. You guys may not have experienced that as much, but man, when I was growing up, it was weighed down. You got to work twice as hard to get something in life as white people do. If you get put up by a cop, they're going to, back then it wasn't that they're going to shoot you for no reason. It was just that they're going to pull you over for no reason. And you're going to get a ticket and they harass you in the hood. And if you get in trouble, man, you're going to get twice the sentence as white people. And white people don't like you. And they like I used to grow, when I was growing up, man, I really thought that like white people were thinking about me all the time. Like if I go into a place full of white people, I felt like that they always were looking at me like, you shouldn't be here. What is this black man doing here? And in reality, they don't give a flying flip. You know what I'm saying? That was just me in my mind living under this cloud, this liberal social justice cloud that just kept me down. And when I bloomed out of it, man, the most successful I've ever been, the happiest I've ever been. I'm married, like, you know what I'm saying? I think conservatism is an incredible thing for us to have. So we've approached an hour. I tried to make a commitment that we will only do an hour, a little live stream. So, you know, because we could talk for 5 or 6 hours. But I want to do a quick hitter. Can you tell the audience where they can find you, how they can follow you, what your social media platforms are, how can they support you, all of the above?
Go ahead, Damani.
All right, so let me see if I can do this whole list. Facebook, it's Damani Bryant Felder. Instagram at the Damani Felder. Twitter at the Damani Felder. TikTok at the Damani Felder. YouTube at the Wright Brothers. I'm on Gab at Dominator14. I'm on MeWe at Damani Felder. Telegram at Damani Felder, and Rumble at the Wright Brothers as well.
Well, I just learned I need to step up my platform game. YouTube, Jericho Green, Instagram at JG Talk. I am working on launching a website. I'm not going to drop the name yet, but believe me, it's in the works because I'm not sure about you, Damani, but I know B. Tatum and myself have served time at YouTube State Penitentiary before. So, you know, I got to create my own. But yeah, YouTube, Jericho Green, Instagram at JG Talk. All the links are there, the merch and all that good stuff. And to B. Tatum, man, thanks for having me back. You know, it's been a while, but I'm glad to do it again, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to get this thing started again, man. I used to do it every week, and they, you know, I don't just do YouTube. You know, some people think I just do YouTube and then I lay around the house all day. Like I run several companies now. You know, I'm venturing into a lot of different things. I got a full family. You know, I do so much. I speak all around the country, so it's very hard for me to keep up with it. So I had to bring some people on. Shout out to Sky, who's been helping me full time, and getting the people here. So that's what we're gonna do. Shout out to some of the things. If you guys have just stumbled across my platform, we have the. It's funny, it covered up Damani's face. We got to figure out a way to get this done. But we got the Tatum Report. We got the Officer Tatum Store. We got my new book coming out, Beating Black and Blue. The Tatum Squad, which we've just launched today. The Tatum Squad, we have a YouTube Tatum Squad, which you just get emojis and stuff like that on YouTube. But we have an actual website with the Tatum Squad for the Tatum Squad. It's a community site. You can go to tatumsquad.com and join. It's a community. We got praise and worship music that play 24 hours a day. We're going to have the Bible study on there, exclusive content from me. I mean, it's all kind of stuff that you can get involved in. You'll be able to do call-ins when I have live shows, all of the above in the tatumsquad.com. So if y'all go on there to sign up, I really appreciate it. One of the reasons I decided to do it, because I don't want to ever stop doing content. However, if they to kick your boy off of here, I'm going to be in big trouble. So I want to have my own platform, my own community where you guys can stay in touch with me in perpetuity, and just in case they ban me on all of this stuff, we can still be in contact. I'll still post videos there. You'll get exclusive content for now. If I get kicked off, I'm going to have to do everything on there. But I wanted to do that for you guys. I want to do one thing real quick before we get off here, because I know you guys have a little bit of flexibility. If you have a question, please ask the question. I'll run through a couple questions. It does not have to be necessarily a super chat, but I'm gonna run through a couple super chats. Then I'll try to get some questions. So throw your questions in there. I'm gonna answer probably 2 or 3 questions, maybe 2 or 3 questions for the crew before I let them go, and then we'll go from there. Let's see. Look up the trans kid who went topless to pool saying she was a boy in Pella, Iowa. Tim, thank you for that super chat. I'll look it up. Julie, they really pick Fruit Loops. See, thanks for the content you put out. I appreciate it. Easy on my last name. Let's see. Schizler, German for a key marker. Melinda, thanks so much for the super chat. Let's see. Orxil, thank you so much for the $50 super chat. We need to get control of the education system. We will be the last generation with our values. Keep up the good work, B. Tatum. Shout out to one of my favorite Americans.
Yeah, boy.
Somebody said that is fake Jericho. Real Jericho is in a car. BET or any channel can show whatever they want. The parents are responsible for monitoring their children who watch them.
Right.
I don't watch this garbage. Now, I want to comment on that just real quick. You know, when the TV show says that it's available for children and your children are sitting there watching it, you think that it's going to be a fair performance, and then they show out and show their booty hole. You know, that's not acceptable. What about the straight traditional women? We go into a locker room assuming rules are in place and 0 men will be around. Pervert exposed himself. 100%. Houston busted. You know, all you super chats. Thank you so much. I'm gonna answer a couple more and then I'm gonna get to the questions. Let's see. Mr. Anderson, thank you so much for the super chat, bro. No BS. No white person ever looks at a black person in the store and wonders what they're up to. We don't care. Love you all. Nancy, thank you for the $50 super chat. Bill, thank you for keeping it 100. We need more men like you speaking out for our lost youth and young adults. Keep praying for our country. All right, let's see. What are the questions? Y'all got to make sure you hit the hashtag, and then if you tag me or whatever the case may be, I'll be able to see it. July Straight Pride Month. That's funny. It's starting with the 4th of July, right? Let's see. I'm waiting for y'all questions. If you don't ask a question, then we're gonna bounce off here. Will Trump be back? Honest. Can y'all write a better sentence? I can't read and you can't write, and that's not a good combination. Will Trump be back? Honest thoughts on back. Okay, so will Trump? Do y'all think Trump is going to be back in office?
I think so. He's talking like he is. But one thing I was talking about with a friend of mine the other day is if he runs for president, it would be nice to have, so let's say, DeSantis as a vice president. But would DeSantis want to play second fiddle to Trump? Because Trump ain't going to be no vice president. So it would have to be, I guess DeSantis ticket. But to answer the question, I think he will. I sure hope he will. I think this was part of his 4D chess. Let them have these bologna sandwiches for 4 years, and then I'll come in with the filet mignon, and it'll be all good. But I certainly hope he does.
Yeah, I would say I hope he does. We'll see what the future holds. I do think, to Jericho's point, yeah, it is important sometimes for people to see just how good they had it. And people are having to experience that. Normal, everyday Americans are now seeing the 180 we've done on so many things in this country over the last, just couple months. So I think it would be a breath of fresh air, but I do hope that if he does return to the Oval Office, that he will have the right people who are around him, who are advising him, because I know he got burned really badly last time because he had individuals who stabbed him in the back routinely.
And real quick, B. Tatum, another example of the difference between Trump and Biden is at this point last year, gas was 42% cheaper. So we'll throw that out there.
Yeah, and you know what? And that was during the COVID. It was going on back then, and gas was still better than what Mr. Dumb brain circling the drain Biden is doing. Somebody asked Jericho, what happened with the cops outside your house? That was like down the street.
So day before yesterday, I look out my window and I see and hear like 5 cop cars going by, and I see them coming to a stop. I live near a corner, and I see them coming to a stop on the corner. And so I figured this would be a great opportunity for me to go out here and test LeBronica James' theory that, I'm just a wascally little wabbit, and they're out there Elmer Fudd style waiting to shoot me down. So I took my camera. It was only like a 32-second video. Shout out to everybody who watched, because it has almost like 200,000 views in like 2 days. So thank you for that. Little quick 30-second thing. I was like, this is it, guys. This is going to be my last video. Thanks for the support. Tell my family I love them, because there's 4 cops down here. Cops, black guy. That's it, right? Death sentence. But as you can see, turns out nothing happened. They did not fill me with holes. And what happened was somebody got pulled over right around the corner. And because I ended up leaving like a couple minutes after that to go somewhere, and they had some dude sitting on the ground handcuffed, and a cop was leaning in the window talking to his girl who was who was in the driver's seat. So I don't know if they got pulled over. He had warrants. She called him. I don't know. But yeah, somebody got taken away, and it wasn't me.
That's funny. Hey, Taylor, shout out to my boy Taylor Mays. Gas is $6 in LA. That's why I don't live in LA. Somebody said, what is the state of the black conservative? What is the state of black conservatism right now? And I think that people are alluding to, and this probably is a very long explanation, but we'll try to keep it short. I think people are alluding to a lot of the quote unquote infighting that's going on. You see Candace Owens and what's her name, and then you see other people coming out against me and coming out against Candace, and you know, and I think that people do come out against other people, but they try to go for the person at the top of the food chain to just go after, because they want, really, I think they want clout. But what do you guys think is going on? Because I think that it's a separation of the wheat and the tare, like kind of like this explained in the Bible. Is there's people who are genuinely a part of the movement, who really just want to see change, who really want to be a part of change. They stay in their lane. And then there's people who look up to individuals who have social media platforms, and they are jealous or envious of them. So they try to pick a fight with them, or try to say that they're fraudulent or inauthentic, just to get more traction on their social media, at their little corny events that they have. I'm just, in my personal opinion, I think it's the separation of wheat and the tare is necessary for people to be at odds, in my opinion. And then I think it's going to come in full circle, and the real will recognize real, and we will be more united after weeding out these fake people. That's just my opinion. What do y'all think? And that'll be the last question.
I think, go ahead, Damani.
No, I was just going to say, I talked about this in a video I made, a YouTube video called Conservative Ink, and I was talking about some of this behavior that I was seeing manifested even a few years ago. And I think what's unfortunate is we're seeing a lot of individuals who hitch their wagon to Trump and Trump alone, and use Trump as their vehicle to some degree of notoriety, who now are forced to grapple with the uncomfortable reality that now he's no longer in the Oval Office as of right now. So then what are they going to do? How are they going to remain relevant? Well, of course, if you don't have the same platform other people do, then the way you stay relevant is to start punching up or attacking other people. And no one wins that situation, but what it does, it allows individuals who might be disgruntled to garner a larger audience, because people are always looking for, oh, what's the latest beef? What's the latest beef? And whenever it's someone versus someone else, they know it's going to create more eyes even on their own content. So it's very unfortunate, but it is necessary, because we need to make sure that we know who really is in this for the right reasons and who isn't, and then proceed accordingly from there, because we don't have any more time for posers or individuals who would co-opt the movement for their own self-serving purposes.
I've heard about the stuff you're talking about, B. Tatum. Man, really, I think that's a very juvenile, a very high school, junior high way to look at things. If you don't like somebody, don't talk about them. Don't talk to them. Let them do their thing. Really, what I think they should do is try to befriend them or get information from them, because how did you get to where you are? You know, you get more bees with honey. So maybe talk to them if you're going to, and find out how they got to where they are. And they might even, you know, dare I say, help you. But to hate on somebody and talk about them on social media, what are you, a 15-year-old girl? What the hell? We got time for that crap to talk negatively about somebody. That's nonsense. If you ain't going to go to them with maybe asking them to help you get to their level, then shut your mouth and get there a different way. Like, what are you doing, man? That's such a punk, childish way to go about things. What do you look like as an adult talking bad about another adult for the world to see? That is sad, and that's much bigger problems than what you may have with this person on social media. Man, stop that crap. Ask for some help. If not, keep your mouth shut, and good luck.
I agree 1,000%, man. You know, I think that I would like to see people just stay in their lane. You know what I mean? If you don't like a person and you think they're a fraud, or not if they're a fraud. Like if you think they're a fraud, you got evidence of it, by all means, expose them. But if you just disagree with somebody and you want to make a name for yourself by trying to call them out because you disagree with them, you know, I don't think that that's right. If they're a fraud, or somebody you find out is not a conservative, they got them on hot mic somewhere telling who they really is, then by all means, give that context. But you guys stick around. Y'all stay around. I'm gonna close the show out, and then you stay here, and then we'll have a chat after the show is off. But y'all stick around. Don't go anywhere. Appreciate y'all watching. Thank y'all for all the super chats. I appreciate y'all support. Thank y'all for, hopefully y'all follow Jericho Green and Damani Felder, incredible young men who doing great things. And I say young men, Jericho Green got kids and everything. You know, Jericho Green is a daddy out here grinding, you know what I'm saying, keeping it real, you know. And so I appreciate you guys. Thank y'all for all the supporting this channel. Go support these gentlemen, and we'll see you next time. So every Thursday, I'll try to do it at 7:30. Every Thursday, we'll have a panel discussion. We'll try to change the people up on the panel so we can give you a diverse perspective. And so just stay tuned. Tune in next time. If I'm not gonna make it, I'll put it in the comment section so y'all see that the show is either canceled or is ready to go. So I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. I'll see y'all on the next one. Peace.
Peace.
Okay.
It's the